Hey guys, how are you? So, my name is Lucas, I'm Brazilian, and I have been talking about FC Barcelona on Twitter for well over a decade now, but I pretty much let it go due to, everything that led to this moment that we are living after the 8-2 defeat to Bayern at the Champions League. And well, some of you do know me and know what my views are, and for those of you who have never consumed my content, I will try to talk about this crisis and contextualize it with the actual history of FC Barcelona. So that's why I divided this video, this podcast if you want, because it's going to be a long one, in three different moments. I'm going to talk about the good because, the moment isn't, and we have to focus on what's good about the club and why we still support it and want it to, be relevant again. And then I'm going to talk about the bad and historically why we see this happening over and over again. And I'm going to finish it by talking about the revolution we would need to have this team achieve what it can and the reasons why it most likely will take a long while to happen, especially to happen in a way that serves us, the foreign, the worldwide FC Barcelona fans. So, the good parts about FC Barcelona. Barcelona has a meaning, a real meaning, first to the Catalan people, because we have to understand that Catalonia has pretty much lived as a colony inside Spain for over the last 300 years. And during the 20th century, FC Barcelona was one, if not the main place, the main physical place, where the Catalan people were able to fully express themselves, be it by their language, be it by the cenario, their flag, actually be a Catalan. Because not only has throughout history Catalonia lived as a colony in Spain, but especially during the Franco dictatorship, it got even worse. They were forbidden for using the language. They couldn't even register their children in Catalan names. They needed to use it in the Castilian, in Spanish. Due to that, the Catalan people, the people who actually value their Catalan identity, have this really close connection with FC Barcelona. And this connection has become deeper in the actually very few moments when we had, a winning team. We had that on the 50s with the Kubala team, and due to stuff that I will talk about in the bad section, we only saw it in different stances, and they were all like decades apart. So when Cruyff arrived in 73, besides Rinus Michels, he revived strongly this, connection of the Catalan people with themselves, with their culture, because Barcelona at that moment had spent 14 years without a single Liga title, and Cruyff came, and Cruyff not only brought them back to the winning ways, but he did it by playing in a fashion that was attractive by, having players combine the Dutch brand of football, the Rinus Michels brand of football. And it was really important, that resurgence of the Catalan identity, because it was in the dying years, of Generalissimo Franco, which I hope is burning severely, being seared in hell right now. And Cruyff, due to his political opinions, his way of life, he was really, adamant in not standing to the fascist bullshit. So he registered his son as Jordi, and when the The government official tried to stop it. He said, his name is Jordi, I'm a Dutch, and it's gonna happen. And this kind of identification is why FC Barcelona and this special playing style and the Catalan identity began to, get stronger. We saw it once again, 15 years later when Cruyff returned as a coach in 1988 to take over, and then he only at that moment began building the identity that we recognize now, So this playing style, this use of La Masia, to actually become a winning team. We have never won a Champions League, a European Cup title before. We were really far behind on Real Madrid on the Liga titles, and Cruyff changed everything once again. He instilled this winning mentality. He instilled the need to use this specific brand of football, which is pressing, it's positional play, jogo de posición, is passing, is pressing, is acting together. And he achieved that Catalan identity again. He won 4 straight La Liga titles. That hasn't happened for FC Barcelona before or since, not even with Guardiola. And he achieved, the special night, that 25th of May 1992, where we won the European Cup, the Champions League, for the first time. This is the good stuff. This is why this historical construction, the influence of Cruyff, the Catalan identity, it's that why eventually we got Guardiola. So there was this whole construction about it, and the good things that we like about this thing, everything that I'm listing, it reached its apex. It reached its peak during the Guardiola years, because not only did we have that Cruyff, that direct influence, that playing style, we had a coach that not only believed on that whole ideology with every single fiber of his being. He was a massive workaholic. So we have this going on. And then we have this blessed generation of players to be able, due to Cruyff's influence back then in La Masia, to develop this skillful, combinative, highly intelligent players, in the terms of Xavi, Iniesta, and Busquets, and Puyol, and Valdés, and especially, and this is the third tripod, we had Messi. So this conjunction of moments, of meanings, gave us the best football team of all time, the only team so far that was able to win the 6 available titles in European football, in a single season, and it hasn't been repeated since. That is the full picture of why we love this club, and why we know, due to these historical certainties, due to this taste that has been instilled in people, in Catalan people and worldwide fans, about this club. This is the good part. And why do we constantly, throughout history, have to live through the bad times, which we are living the worst moment right now, but actually we've been living the bad times for the last 3 to 4 years, to be honest with you. The first thing that I have to make it clear to you guys is that the good moments, the winning teams, the dominance, the beautiful playing style, La Masia, the Catalan identity, this is not historically what actually happens in FC Barcelona. What actually happens is that in FC Barcelona, what is the norm is having mediocre, damaging, and criminal boards and presidents like we have under José Maria Bartomeu. Sadly, this is our reality. To talk about the bad, I have to talk about the bad part of the Catalan society, of the Barcelona society, that has direct influence on this club. FC Barcelona was really, it was founded by, a myriad of foreigners, Gumper was from Switzerland, there were people from, other countries, and it really began as an institution where you could, develop a taste for the sport, but obviously it began not from the working class, from the poor, but from people who had money. But these people, they were involved in, resistance, be it political, be it culture, for several decades. And this team even traveled to Mexico to raise funds to, keep it alive during the 30s. So during the bad times, the recession and the civil war in Spain, Barcelona was able to survive, and it did. But after things settled down and Franco reached power, what happened is the elite in Catalan society in Barcelona, they took hold of this club, and every single decision was taken by these people who see their club as their property, these people who really don't have an identity that they care about. They are about keeping their privileges and using the structure of FC Barcelona to gain more influence and, yes, to swindle money from the club, not directly, but at least to people close to them who will then give the money back. The first instance is after we built the Camp Nou, and if you think about the Camp Nou, that this club, who wasn't really that big, relevant in Europe, and was really striving and had a lot of difficulties over the year, built the biggest stadium in Europe by 1959. This marks what Bartomeu wants to do now. The Camp Nou, while it is important for me, for you that is watching, for every one of us who love this club, actually is a gigantic reminder of the corruption that goes on the managing of this club. If you talk to older people, if you read older articles, you will see that there are plenty of tales about how much money was, scurried away, was pocketed by the people close to the managing board, due to their links to the builders, constructors, and the club then got in a financial tangle that forbade it from winning a single Liga title in 14 years. The fact that we got Cruyff in the first place was not because this club really identified with what Cruyff represented and they wanted to see what Rinus Michels would bring to us. They actually wanted to get Bayern's Miller, Bomberman, the greatest striker of his era, one of the best natural strikers in European history. He was the plan. Then, things didn't go quite as they hoped, and Real Madrid was actually was able to buy Cruyff before us. But since Ajax sold Cruyff without consulting him, he denied the transfer, really facilitated his move to Barcelona because that was the kind of man Cruyff. Cruyff, by being the person that he was and by bringing the ideas and the style and the ideology he represented, was really important and really connected to the Catalan people, to the fan base, because after 14 years of darkness, of winning no Liga titles, of not having an actual sporting plan, a playing identity, Cruyff brought all that. But as I told you, the club only signed him and Rinus Michels because they were about to lose control of the club. 14 years without a Liga title. The second main issue of why FC Barcelona is surrounded by bad structures and bad influences. Because if I'm telling you that there is a part of the Catalan elite that seize this club as theirs and use it to achieve more influence and yes, to get money from it. Usually, when the elites want to do something, they have the media, they have the biggest means of communication with them because they usually own this means of communication. That's why we have what we call the internal, the surroundings, you know, this eternal game of influences and backtalk deals and backroom deals and everything. And that's why, even though the Rinus Michels Cruyff project wasn't perfect, it was daily attacked and doubted and unjustly criticized by this tool of the Catalan elites that is their media. I'm talking about Sport, the newspaper, I'm talking about especially Mundo Deportivo, and to a lesser degree El País. This is the more visible bad side of FC Barcelona. How they unshamedly attack the winning projects, attack the projects that are related to Johan Cruyff. That's why it really didn't last long. Cruyff stayed in Barcelona for 4 to 5 years. He only won one Liga title, his first Liga title there. But even though these people, these elites, would be very gladly never see Cruyff again, what he instilled in the fan base, what he brought as a style, what his personality brought, you know, as I told you, he registered his son as Jordi when no one else in Catalonia could, but he was Cruyff, he would, you know. And all this stuff is what, this importance is what forced these same people to bring Cruyff back again when they were 11 years. They only won one Liga title after Cruyff's title. So we won one in 73. We took 11 years to win it in 85. And then the management was so poor that the actual players were in direct defiance of the managing board of Mr. Núñez, who was the president of this club, the actual representative of the elites for 22 years, from 1978 to the year 2000. And he was a crook who was actually arrested for his, you know, corruption games. This time not directly linked to the club. These are more controlled and protected by the elites, but by his real estate deals. And Núñez only brought Cruyff as a coach in '88 because he had players actually revolting in what we call the Hesperia. It was where the hotel where the players had held a press conference to tell everything rotten that was happening in the club, and that's what we got Cruyff. So you see, the good moments that we have witnessed throughout history about this club have only happened when the average, that is the bad management, was going to lose control of the club to a different section of the Catalan elites, and then they gave what the people wanted, what the fans demanded, what this beautiful connection of style and Catalan identity live. That is the Cruyff philosophy, the Dutch brand of football, you know, juego de posición and passing and pressing and all that. Even though Cruyff was winning 4 back-to-back Liga titles, even though he was building at that moment the best FC Barcelona of all time and winning the Champions League, the European Cup for the first time, the same media attacks were happening every single day. Every single small decision, every defeat, every draw was heavily criticized, and everything that we see nowadays, oh, we need more muscle, oh, we need to not be so dogmatic and have a little, you know, fluidity about our identity and playing style, because people will figure us out, and you know, we can't be that. And well, we saw what years of this talk led us, which we are living right now after the Bayern Munich defeat. And that's why Cruyff's project was cut short. After these people took over, then it started a really mischievous way that they choose people they couldn't be more different from Cruyff, but they bring some style, some semblance that they may be able to say, see, we have a Dutch coach now, brought Van Gaal. They say, hey, you like Dutch football, right? So here's Van Gaal, who is an enemy of Cruyff. They are different, they say the things, they do things. By the end of the last stretch where the conservatives, the elites were in hold of the club, they brought the worst, the most mediocre coaches, the same level of, Valverde and Tata Martino and, Setien, sadly. We saw it around 2000, 2003. And when they were at their lowest again, this time something new happened. The election of Mr. Juan Laporta. The thing about Laporta is he isn't different from the elites. He is a part of that elite. He is a millionaire, he's a lawyer, he's a famous lawyer, he's a bon vivant. But parts of the Catalan elite were with him to get him elected. And, well, I have to tell you, João Laporta was the person who brought Sandro Rosell and José Maria Bartomeu to the club for the first time. This is not an indictment on Laporta. I'm just saying that for anyone, any group of fans, of people who are passionate, of coolers, who love this club, who want to take over it, really are playing a rigged game, because you have to give, financial guarantees that represent like 10% of what the club makes, and is like 60 million, 100 million euros, that hey, I have this money in case I mismanage the club, I can pay it back. So you see, democracy doesn't happen when you want to rule FC Barcelona. What we did see is that, yes, Laporta is someone who fully embraces and loves the Cruyff identity, and he was a personal friend of Johan Cruyff. That's why he nominated him, Cruyff, the honorary president of FC Barcelona. Since the game is rigged, the same person who brought the change, who brought Rijkaard, and make us win again after several years during the Ronaldinho era, was the same, could not have done it if he didn't have by his side people of the caliber and the deep pockets of Rosell and Bartomeu. So that's why this belief that we have that the right person is elected, that it's going to be perfect and we won't have to see this bad president and boards anymore, is a lie. Due to this huge financial need to be able to actually run for office in the first place, you need people with actual big pockets, people who have means and properties, who are able to show that to banks, and the banks will say, hey, yeah, if this guy breaks the club, I can, cover, 10% of it. Since Laporta was only able to get elected with these people by his side, and the media was always attacking him the same way they were attacking Cruyff, both in 73 and then again in 88, the project was, always under attack. Eventually, Sandro Rosell left. Differences, I don't see what's going on. And these people, these elites, Sandro Rosell, Bartomeu, and the media, concocted a big lie that Sandro Rosell was actually stealing from the club. And what actually happened, and I'm telling you because there was an actual sentence from a judge regarding this matter, is that not only was that a lie, that Rosell, after Rosell got elected, he cooked the books, but that Laporta had left the club in a surplus. And you see, for many of us right now that have heard about it, have no idea about this sentence, and actually believe that, we lost our way because Laporta was, drinking champagne and going to nightclubs and hanging out with porn stars and, using the club's credit card to buy for a rotisserie chicken. Every single one of these things that I just showed you were truth, by the way. And we got, in a landslide win, Sandro Rosell as our president in 2010. The thing about Rosell is that when he got elected, we had the best football team in history. When the attacks and the dismantling of the Cruyff Vinicius Michels teams of the 70s and the Cruyff team of the 90s began, those projects had a few flaws already, you know? So it was easier and even made sense to attack them. But Rosell was elected and he started to hammer and try to destroy what we have when we had the best football team in the history of football, when we had the best football player in the history of football. And that's why these people, these criminal people, people who have spent time in jail, people who have actually turned this club into a tax defrauder for the first time in its history, are the worst, more disgusting, more envious example of we have of this cat. Rosell and his media buddies, especially over at Mundo Deportivo, were attacking and second-doubting every single decision Guardiola made, interfering and blocking transfers and signings that Guardiola wanted to do. And that team were going through rough patches. You could believe that the media was hammering that, oh, we need stronger people, like when we got fucking Arturo Vidal. It just took a while, but it happened. And that's why after 2012, when we actually won 4 titles and 3 of the smaller ones, the Super Cups and whatnot, and only the Copa del Rey, Guardiola has had enough. Because Guardiola knows the stuff that I'm talking about. He has followed this club. He knows the history of this club. And he understands perfectly why it is a waste of time to try to fight these people when you don't have the material means to fight these people. When you are not as rich as them, when you are not as influent as them, when you don't have powerful people around you, and you don't have the media backing every single insanity that you do. And that's why Guardiola, who had been attacked his whole career because he was, the perfect Cruyff disciple, he was the guy who became captain, during the 90s. So he was a guy who liked fashion, who liked poetry, who liked to read. So obviously he was called a homosexual. People were inventing that he was very thin. So obviously he must had been HIV positive. Doping tests said that he was doping. The Catalan media was at his throat, and in the end knew it was a lie. The Guardiola had not doped. They never corrected themselves. So Guardiola had a reason to leave. And after Guardiola left, Sandro Rosell could do whatever the fuck you want. And his first plan, and I know this is the part that most people will doubt me, or stop watching the video, or you can just skip ahead. He started to aim at every single thing that he wanted to change. Oh, so Guardiola left. I can change the playing style. Oh, now I can sign the players that I want, the players that make no sense regarding this style, but since it will be from managers and people that we are able to make shady deals and get money, I'm gonna sign them. And the third thing that he actually wanted to attack was Messi. Rosell had been paying the club's money to check with the fans, with the sócios, with the shareholders, how would they feel about selling Messi since 2013. The plan was always very clear to Rosell. He wanted to sell Messi, he wanted to buy Neymar, someone from Brazil. Rosell has lived here. Actually, Rosell has committed crimes here in Brazil, like, transferring 8 million reais to Ricardo Teixeira, the Brazil's FA president's 8-year-old daughter. So Rosell was giving 8 million reais to Teixeira's daughter in her bank account because, it's a small gift and not because he's a huge criminal crook, but I digress. Rosell only stepped down because he acted so criminally, so, fuck it and let me get Neymar, that when the tax fraud issues regarding the Neymar signing happened not only in Brazil, but also in Spain, he invented that, oh, people are shooting at BB guns at my house and my family is in danger and that's why I'm stepping down. When he knew very much, because he's connected, he has, rich people have connections everywhere, that people were after him because he was swindling money with one of his, several dirty connections that he had around the world. And that's why he went to jail. And the fact that he was released by a procedural error and not by what he did and didn't do does not make him innocent. Just check with Brazil, who would love to have Rosell here to, charge him for, diverting money and corruption, but he doesn't step here, so that's why he's free. What we saw on the last few years, this destruction of Macia, the signing ban, never-ending line of bad coaches, and even worse signings like Douglas, Mathieu, Arda Turan, Dembele, Felipe Coutinho, Griezmann, Vidal, Paulinho, these hundreds of millions of euros that were spent trying to make this club, this team worse and weaker because they knew very well what they were doing. Its peak, its magnum opus, its main object is to repeat what was done in 1959 when we built the Camp Nou. This renovated Camp Nou bullshit, this 600 million euro project that was approved by these fans that buy what this media is selling, that believe these people are the way to go. They approved something that they had no idea what was going to be built. The project was really limited. There was no clear way on how the club would get this money, how it would be financed, because the objective is not to actually, they don't care about improving the structure. What they care about is diverting money from the club to builders, like what happened in this club in 1959, and it affected us by over a decade and a half of the most destructive and forgetful results that we could witness. They are so incompetent, and they think of this, criminal stuff, and they can't pull it off, that they never managed to move it. They didn't get the money, they didn't get the permits. The reason this is their master plan is when Bartomeu, and now I'm talking about 2010, August 2010, after the 8-2 defeat to Bayern, the worst defeat this club has suffered since the 1940s, the worst defeat any Champions League club has had on the quarterfinals, Bartomeu is still talking that pulling the new Camp Nou is the most important thing we can do for this club. It isn't. It is important to the people that will get even richer by stealing the club's money. It will be important by some big, international conglomerate that is going to buy the Camp Nou's naming rights and, have this advertising, every single day. And that was their master plan. The thing I have to say about the bad part of FC Barcelona is something that I have changed my views over the years, is the socios themselves. We can't blame the socios for voting for these people. When you have a social construct where you believe these rich people, these, frat boys who went to business schools, which precisely is what Bartomeu and Rosell are like, literally. They went to ESA, E-S-A, which is the where the rich boys go to learn bullshit stuff about managing. When you have the media rammering on and on and on that Cruyff was lazy, we need muscle, we have to shoot from distance. Oh, Messi, he vomits from time to time. Oh, we need muscle. Paulinho, Vidal, all this bullshit is repeated on their fucking heads day after day by influential people, by influential journalists, and when you have this all around you, people talking about that and the journalists talking about that, you believe it. You vote for these people. And obviously there is some groups that act because they want to get actual financial aid from these people, which is like the peñas. I'm sorry if you are part of the peña, but it's really common in Catalonia. They have, hundreds of peñas. For those people, those fan clubs, to expect, a little snack here, some plane tickets to follow the team abroad, some financial advantages to be swooned by these people to gain certain advantages, and that's why they voted for these people so thoroughly. And another segment that these people brought back in the Camp Nou are the far right, the fascist supporters that were banned during the Laporta years, and there was actually a plan to assassinate Laporta because he got rid of them. And Sandro Rosell not only opened his arms to them, but was actually paying plane tickets and match tickets so they could travel abroad and bring violence and fascist ideals all over Europe. So this is what these people do. The last thing, the ending theme that I want to talk about when I talk the bad parts of FC Barcelona, is that we don't really have an opposition. Juan Laporta lost the 2015 elections to become FC Barcelona president because he was a coward. He didn't want to actually campaign against this club when we had the chance to win the triple. And when he did start campaigning, there wasn't enough time to turn things around. Bartomeu had campaigned all over Catalonia. He had done everything, so obviously he was going to lose. And Victor Font, who I know personally and have direct contact to him, he's a great guy, but he didn't campaign. He never campaigned. He never set himself as an actual opposition to point the finger at who moves these people and what are the interests behind them, because he comes from the same economic group. He's a multimillionaire. He lives in Dubai. He owns a newspaper in Catalonia. I don't mean bad. I don't mean to diminish him if Victor ever watches this. But he comes from the same mindset. He comes from the same class of Bartomeu, Rosell, Núñez, Casas, and the decades of people who have ruled this club. And if Victor Font or Laporta, or if they act together, get elected, they won't change all these structures, all the stuff that I have spent the last several minutes talking about. They will bring with them people from the Catalan elites, people from the Catalan ruling class that will begin by saying how much they value Cruyff and the style, blah, blah, blah. But when they need to make some of their friends richer by diverting money and something like that, these people will just leave the board and use all the, the sport and Mundo Deportivo and all this power to make the cycle go again. The cycle hasn't stopped since the 70s. This isn't new what we're living. We lived it in 76, we lived it in 95, we lived it in 2007 on those two awful Ronaldinho was sleeping all day. We lived it after on the 7-0 against Bayern in 2013, and we are living it now. This is a circle that only gives us brief periods of time when we have this view, when we have the good that we watch and care about in FC Barcelona. The good isn't the norm, it is the exception. That's why, after all that, is why I get on the closing argument of this video / podcast. It's about the revolution we actually need and why we won't get it anytime soon. So I just showed you that there's a whole, financial, class, media structure that surrounds this club and makes sure that only a certain class of people get to manage it. This same class of people not only have put in places regulations and controls that make it possible only for them and people with deep pockets just as them to take control. So as I told you, people need to show that they are able to cover 10% of the global earnings of the team, of the club. That's 100 million euros. Do you think 20 supporters, people who, we love Cruyff, let's, make a change, average people will have 100 million euros to even enter the campaign? They won't. And after these rich people are elected and they are fully in power, if they keep doing shitty deals and bad results like we have right now, the fans are powerless to change things. They are powerless to remove these people from office. Because after Rosell, they changed the rules that before said, you need 5% of the total sausage base to write a signed paper, a printed paper that say they don't trust the president and we should remove it. That was before. That was feasible in some sense. But they changed that to almost 20% of the actual voting base to reach that on 14 days. It is unfeasible. There is no democracy. The fans, the people who actually are responsible for the majority of the money this club gets, be it through the broadcasting rights, be it from the merchandise, be it from talking about the club itself, which gives value to it by itself. We are the reason this club is as rich as it is as important as it is, and is as relevant as it is. But we don't have actual power. So, the revolution that we need is one where, first, we would need one of these, enlightened Catalans like, Laporta or Victor Font or even Jordi Farré, who, is a smaller guy who always defends Cruyff. And then push, demand, and obviously with the help of Catalan socies who believe in Cruyff and believe this revolution, that we need to change this game, this election game, this participation, because it's rigged, it doesn't serve us, and makes us powerless. What I'm talking about is a revolution where fans from all over the world, people who like me and you actually love this club, understand what it represents, understand the importance it has on the Catalan culture, to be able to have our voices. Because Barcelona would not be as big, as important, and especially not as rich as it is today, if not for us. If not the money they get, which is like 40 to 50% of the annual budget, they get from the TV broadcast. And they get paid that much because there are hundreds of millions of us watching FC Barcelona and consuming merchandise and watching the ads that go on the TV station, and the money gets funded back. And we buy the merchandise, we buy the shirts, we buy all the bullshit, we talk about this club. And this power has to mean something back to us. And it doesn't right now. And that's why I put it in the title that yes, we need a revolution. I can talk about what I think this structure should be, but we won't see it anytime soon. People with power, rich people who have the media, who have a club, will not easily give this power to us. We will not actually turn this really close and exclusive and elitist people who manage this club and give it to us. And to be honest, we, from afar, the worldwide fans, have no real power to change that. We don't. The only thing we could do is to stop consuming everything related to FC Barcelona, not watch the games, not consume everything, but they will just get different people. So in an ideal world, we would elect someone like Laporta, Victor Font, someone who actually believes in Cruyff. This person, by being pressed by the Catalan sources, by people who actually support Cruyff, this playing style, this identity, people who understand this whole picture that I'm painting you guys, that this cycle is meant to be just keep repeating, that if someone right now in 2020 believes, oh no, I'm going to follow this club for the rest of my life, you have to prepare that for most of the time you won't see the good parts that you like. Because they are not interested in putting that on place, because their interest is to, make money and more influence and use the power and everything that I've been telling you. This is the second version I recorded of this video. I have, for those who know me, know that I have been fighting this board since 2013. I was really active during the 2015 elections. I interviewed every single one of the candidates. I talked to Victor Font several times. I talked to Benedito. I talked to Jordi Farré. I talked to Laporta's people. I talked to several journalists from Catalonia. I tried to move and inform the foreign fan base, and people pretty much were aware. But we are powerless to change the power structures that happen in Catalonia. That's a reality. And as I said, this is the second version of this video because my first version was pretty much saying this is the whole scenario, as I did right now. And sadly, I don't have the energy to, take part of this never-ending cycle of disappointment, defeat, and the small, brief appearances of actual greatness and hope and beauty and everything that we like about this club. But the thing is, I'm a revolutionary. I'm a communist, I'm a socialist, whatever you want to call it, and actually believe that we have to fight for a different way of being, a different power structure, a structure where the people who are actually creating value and creating the richness and everything are in power. And isn't different in FC Barcelona case. So it'd be really strange for me who talk about changing the world for the good every single day of my life to say the same about this club. The thing is, since I have a fascist in power in Brazil in the name of Jair Bolsonaro, I don't have the time to deal with FC Barcelona and this whole huge mess that it is. But I know it's worth it. Most football clubs really don't have this deep, identity, ideology, cultural, political meaning. Most of them became like big businesses that are, more and more not connected to their communities and to their fans. That is what capitalism does. It wants people more and more alone and isolated and, just looking at their screens, fighting against each other, while the actual powerful people are doing whatever the fuck they want to do. So I hope that this video shows anyone who got this far that there are great things about this club. The structure surrounding it makes sure that we see these things really rarely throughout history. But, and this is the hopeful part of the video, when these moments do happen, they form a generation of fans and supporters and people who actually love this sport, this club, the Catalan identity and their struggle, and marks us for life. And it's gonna be really tough to handle what's going to happen on the next few months, few years regarding the final degradation of this club. But there will always be the possibility that we can somehow become the last resort for this ruling class, and they will bring the full Cruyff ideology back and make things work because they don't want to lose control of the club once more. And that's where we are. We're gonna have to accept the fact that the history of this club shows that by the most time it is mediocre, it is run by an elite that doesn't care about playing well, about fomenting link between the society, that only is worried about numbers and figures and making money and being corrupt. And that's the message that I want to give. This club has really great things about it and really bad structure, making sure these things are rare. But we have to work towards changing it. We are powerless to do it by distance, but maybe by strengthening the people in Catalonia who are actually trying to change this whole bullshit, someday we can watch it. And I hope you do watch it together. I'll always be here, checking something, reading, watching a match or another, always being aware of this club. I have given my contribution. I have tried. I have given several years towards this change. And right now I have more important things to do regarding myself, my family, and my country. But I do hope this message reaches younger people, people my age, older people, to understand, fully understand what goes on this club, and to think and believe that it's gonna be hard, it's gonna take a long, long while, and maybe it won't even happen, but we have to keep the good parts about this club alive. This is our responsibility, and I'm sure one day we'll be living a great Cruyffian era again. I just think it's gonna take a really long time. But I hope to see you all there. Thank you for showing up. We see each other in the struggle.